the data stream arrived at 3:17 a.m., flagged by an AI as an impossible anomaly. Inside NASA's Deep Space Network, a signal was detected that perfectly mirrored a 70-year-old broadcast from Earth, but it was coming from a region of empty space and was impossibly amplified. Panic turned to disbelief as the confirmation came in. Humanity's oldest electronic ghosts are returning. This isn't a natural echo. NASA has now concluded that an unknown intelligence has captured our signals, effectively recording our history. And the most unsettling part? They now know we are here, and they know exactly where to find us. A message from the void. In the dead of night, deep within the sterile, climate-controlled rooms of NASA's Deep Space Network, a silent alarm tripped. It wasn't a blaring siren, but a quiet, urgent flag on a computer screen, generated by an artificial intelligence programmed to do one thing: find the impossible. For years, this AI sifted through the endless static of the cosmos, the background hiss of the Big Bang, looking for patterns that shouldn't exist. And on a Tuesday in late 2024, it found one. The signal was faint, buried under layers of cosmic noise, but it was unmistakably artificial. More than that, it was familiar. You see, for almost a century, Earth has been an unintentional lighthouse in the cosmic dark. Since the 1930s, our radio and television broadcasts have been leaking out into space, traveling at the speed of light in an ever-expanding bubble. This bubble of old commercials, news reports, and classic TV shows is humanity's accidental message to the stars. Scientists have always treated it as a one-way street. The signals go out, get weaker and weaker, and eventually fade into nothing. But not all things are what they seem. The signal the AI had just found was a perfect, crystal-clear echo of a 1952 broadcast of the I Love Lucy show. But it was coming from a dark patch of sky in the direction of the constellation Boötes, a region with no major stars for dozens of light years. To put it mildly, this was impossible. Radio waves weaken over distance. For a signal to travel 50 light-years out and then 50 light-years back, it would be so faint that even our most sensitive instruments, like the massive 70-meter dish in Goldstone, California, shouldn't be able to detect it. Yet here it was, clear as day. The thing nobody tells you is that when faced with impossible data, the first reaction in a place like NASA is to assume it's an error, a satellite malfunction, a reflection off a piece of space junk, or even a sophisticated prank. Teams of engineers and astrophysicists were scrambled, running diagnostics, checking every system, and trying to find a rational explanation. They found nothing. The signal was clean. Its trajectory was precise. It wasn't a reflection. It was a retransmission. After weeks of frantic classified analysis, a terrifying conclusion began to solidify. The signal hadn't just bounced off something. It had been captured, recorded, and deliberately sent back. This was the bombshell. NASA, an agency known for its cautious and methodical approach, was suddenly sitting on the biggest discovery in human history. The initial internal reports, later leaked by a whistleblower, used language that was anything but calm. They described the signal as a clear techno-signature of a non-human intelligence and noted its unambiguous and deliberate nature. The most shocking fact was the power source. For a signal to be sent back with such strength from that distance, it would require an energy source that dwarfs the entire power output of our planet. This wasn't some small alien probe with a tiny antenna. This was evidence of a colossal technological infrastructure, something a civilization far more advanced than our own would be capable of. What many overlooked in the initial panic was a subtle detail embedded in the returning signal. It wasn't just a perfect copy of the old broadcast. The waveform had been altered, with a complex mathematical sequence woven into the background noise, a message within a message. Humanity had been shouting into the void for 100 years, and after all that time, someone had finally answered the phone. The official confirmation came not as a grand press conference, but as a quiet update to a NASA-affiliated research paper, a soft disclosure designed to avoid mass panic. But the message was clear. Our signals have been captured. We are being watched. And this single, impossible echo opened up a century of questions about our own cosmic footprint. Humanity's unintended beacon. To understand the magnitude of what NASA confirmed, you have to go back to the beginning. Many people are crazy about the idea of actively sending messages to aliens, like the famous Arecibo message of 1974, a binary code sent towards the M13 star cluster, or the Voyager probes, launched in 1977, each carrying a golden record with sounds and images of Earth. These were our deliberate attempts to say hello. But the thing nobody tells you is that these were just tiny whispers compared to the continuous, accidental roar of our daily existence that has been flooding the galaxy for a century. It all started in the 1920s and 30s with the birth of powerful radio broadcasting. Every radio program, every television show, every military radar sweep, every signal not aimed at a satellite has been expanding outwards at the speed of light. This creates what scientists call a radio sphere, a bubble of our civilization's noise. Right now, that bubble is about 200 light years across. Inside this bubble are the radio broadcasts of World War II, the first televised Olympics in 1936, the moon landing, every episode of The Twilight Zone, and every pop song ever played on the radio. It's an unintentional, chaotic, and incredibly detailed archive of human culture, a ghost of our past expanding into the cosmos. What many overlooked for years was the sheer density of this information. While any single signal weakens dramatically with distance, the collective presence of this bubble is a massive techno-signature. It marks our planet as a place of unusual and complex activity. For a distant, advanced civilization with sensitive enough listening equipment, this bubble wouldn't be faint static. It would be a treasure trove of data. The most shocking fact is that for an alien intelligence, our planet would have appeared to turn on in the 20th century. For billions of years, Earth was a quiet, dark world. Then, suddenly, it began screaming with complex patterned radio waves. It would be an unmissable sign of emerging technology. You see, we've been sending out a continuous how-to guide on being human. Our broadcasts contain our languages, our music, our scientific knowledge, our political conflicts, and our greatest achievements. An alien civilization intercepting these signals wouldn't just know we exist, they could learn to understand us in terrifying detail. They could decode our languages by finding patterns, just as we deciphered ancient hieroglyphs. They could learn our history, our psychology, our technological capabilities, and our vulnerabilities. The I Love Lucy episode that NASA detected wasn't just a sitcom. It was a data packet containing information about human social structures, language, and even our level of video technology in 1952. To put it mildly, we've been sending out our entire playbook to anyone with a big enough ear to listen. For decades, this was a purely theoretical concern. The assumption was always that the distances between stars are so vast that no one would be listening, and even if they were, the signals would be too weak. The confirmation that our signals have been captured shatters that comforting assumption. It means that for at least 50 years, and possibly longer, an unknown civilization has been recording us. They have a 50-year-long or more television series of Earth's history. They watched the Cold War unfold. They saw the rise of the internet. They've been observing our progress, our conflicts, and our culture from a distance. The question then becomes, who are they? And how on earth did they manage to not only capture these incredibly faint signals, but amplify them and send them back with such power? The answer lies in a concept so grand, it borders on the divine. A Dyson Sphere revealed. How could any civilization capture a faint, 70-year-old television broadcast from 50 light-years away and send it back with enough power to be detected? The energy requirements are so astronomical that they defy any technology we can currently imagine. For people watching this, the answer isn't a bigger satellite dish. It's a technology so vast, it involves harnessing the entire power of a star. This is where the recent NASA-affiliated study becomes the central piece of the puzzle. The paper, authored by a team of leading astrophysicists, outlines the exact kind of techno-signature that would make this possible: a Dyson Sphere. A Dyson Sphere, first proposed by physicist Freeman Dyson in 1960, is a hypothetical megastructure that an advanced civilization would build to completely encompass a star, capturing 100% of its energy output. You see, a star like our Sun puts out about 400 septillion watts of energy every second. Humanity, by contrast, uses only about 20 trillion watts. The most shocking fact is that a Dyson Sphere would give a civilization access to a power source 10 billion times greater than the entire energy consumption of humanity. With that kind of power, capturing and amplifying faint radio signals from across the galaxy becomes not just possible, but potentially trivial. The NASA study suggests that a Dyson Sphere wouldn't necessarily be a solid shell. It could be a massive swarm of orbiting solar collectors and habitats, a cloud of technology completely surrounding the star. What many overlooked is that such a structure would be detectable. It would block the visible light of the star, but it would radiate enormous amounts of waste heat in the infrared spectrum. For years, astronomers have been searching for these infrared signatures, a key techno-signature that would be a dead giveaway of a highly advanced, energy-hungry civilization. The returning I Love Lucy signal, coming from a seemingly empty patch of space, now has a terrifyingly plausible origin point: an invisible star system, one that is dark in the visible spectrum because it's been encased in a Dyson Sphere. The thing nobody tells you is how a Dyson Sphere could be used as a communications device. The same NASA study explores another mind-bending concept: using the star itself as a massive amplifier. An advanced civilization could use the immense gravitational field of their star as a gravitational lens. Just as a glass lens can focus light, a star's gravity can focus and amplify radio waves. They wouldn't need to generate a powerful signal from scratch. Instead, they could capture our faint incoming signals, feed them through this stellar amplifier, and beam them back out with colossal power. This perfectly explains how a weak 70-year-old signal could make a 100 light-year round trip and arrive back at Earth with such stunning clarity. To put it mildly, the civilization that sent this signal isn't just advanced. They are likely a Type 2 civilization on the Kardashev scale, a scale that ranks civilizations by their energy use. A Type 1 civilization can harness all the energy of its planet. We are currently a Type 0.7. A Type 2 harnesses all the energy of its star. They are, in a very real sense, masters of their solar system. The evidence NASA confirmed isn't just proof of aliens. It's proof of cosmic gods, beings with the power to engineer on a stellar scale. The implications are staggering. If they have a Dyson Sphere, they have unimaginable computational power. They could be running simulations of entire worlds. They would have the energy for interstellar travel at speeds approaching light, and they have been listening to us for a very, very long time. But what was the message they embedded within our own broadcast? A warning from the stars. The confirmation that aliens had captured our signals was a world-changing event. But the true bombshell, the detail that has been kept under the tightest wraps at NASA, is the message they sent back. For people watching this is the part of the story that moves from scientific discovery into the realm of a direct, chilling communication. The AI that first detected the impossible echo also noticed that the signal wasn't a perfect copy. woven into the very fabric of the radio wave, hidden in the subtle variations of frequency and amplitude, was a complex, non-random pattern. It was a message. You see, the challenge of first contact has always been language. How do you communicate with a species that has a completely different biology, history, and way of thinking? The Arecibo message tried to solve this with a simple binary pictogram, but this alien intelligence did something far more brilliant. They used our own broadcast as a Rosetta Stone. The most shocking fact is that the embedded message used the fundamental structure of the I Love Lucy broadcast, the cadence of the voices, the laugh track, the musical cues as a key to unlock its own meaning. It was a demonstration of staggering analytical intelligence. They hadn't just recorded our signal, they had dissected it, understood its patterns, and used those same patterns to build their own language. What many overlooked in the initial analysis was the emotional tone of the message. The AI, after weeks of processing, began to translate the mathematical language not into words, but into concepts. The core of the message was not a greeting, it was a warning. The thing nobody tells you is that the alien message was structured as a series of cause and effect statements, almost like a scientific paper. It showed images of our planet, likely derived from the content of our decades of broadcasts, and then showed a series of devastating outcomes. The first part of the message seemed to be about nuclear proliferation. The AI decoded patterns that correlated with the flashes of light and mushroom clouds from our own historical footage of atomic tests. It followed these images with simulations of a planet-wide nuclear winter, a world shrouded in dust and ice. To put it mildly, it was a graphic and horrifying depiction of our own self-destructive tendencies, shown to us by an outside observer. They had watched the Cold War from afar, analyzed the threat, and were now showing us the likely conclusion if we continued on that path. The second part of the warning was even more complex. It showed the rising carbon dioxide levels in our atmosphere, a detail they could have inferred from our scientific broadcasts and news reports on climate change. It then presented a series of simulations showing runaway global warming, flooded coastlines, massive desertification, and the collapse of global ecosystems. This wasn't a guess, it was a forecast, likely run on a computer with the power of a Dyson Sphere, a machine capable of modeling every variable of our climate with perfect accuracy. They were showing us our future, and it was bleak. But the final part of the message was the most cryptic and terrifying. It showed our expanding radiosphere, that bubble of signals reaching a certain boundary in space. At this boundary, our signals didn't just fade away, they seemed to attract something. The AI could only translate the concept as the Great Silence or the filter. The message implied that once a civilization's technological broadcasts become loud enough to cross this threshold, they attract a dangerous, perhaps hostile, cosmic force. The warning was clear. Stop broadcasting. The very act of reaching out to the universe was putting us in mortal danger. This alien intelligence wasn't just a passive observer. They had become our silent guardians, sending back a stark parental warning. Be quiet, or they will hear you. A universe of predators. So, for people watching this, trying to make sense of this new reality, what does it all mean? The NASA confirmation, the impossible echo, the Dyson Sphere, and the chilling warning, it all paints a picture of a universe far different from the one we imagined. The thing is, this isn't just about knowing we're not alone. It's about realizing that we might be the new kids in a very old and very dangerous neighborhood. The final part of the alien message gives a name to one of humanity's greatest fears, the Fermi paradox. The paradox asks, if the universe is teeming with life, why is it so quiet? Why haven't we heard from anyone? The alien message provides a horrifyingly simple answer. The Great Silence is a deliberate strategy for survival. The most shocking fact is that the universe isn't quiet because it's empty. It's quiet because the advanced civilizations have learned to hide. They know that broadcasting their existence is like shouting in a dark forest filled with predators. This idea is known among scientists as the dark forest theory. It suggests that all civilizations are a potential threat to each other. Since you can never know the intentions of another species, the safest course of action is to eliminate any emerging civilization before it can become a threat to you. Therefore, any civilization that reveals its location is eventually destroyed. The advanced species stay silent, listening, and the naive ones, like us, get wiped out. And you can see this logic everywhere in our own history. When a more technologically advanced culture encounters a less advanced one, the results are rarely good for the latter. We sent our voices into the cosmos, and the cosmos has answered with a warning. Should we go silent and hide, or is it too late? What would you do? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more cosmic mysteries.